Hi everyone, welcome back to Voice of English. Today's message is not just about arguments. It is about your energy, your emotional stability, and your peace of mind. Let me ask you something simple. Have you ever argued with someone who refused to listen? No matter how calm you were, no matter how clear your explanation was, they kept interrupting, twisting your words, raising their voice. And after it was over, you felt exhausted. Not because you lost, but because the whole experience drained you. That is the real danger. Arguing with a fool does not just waste your time, it slowly destroys your inner peace. Part 1. The illusion of proving a point. Many people believe that intelligence comes with a responsibility to defend every fact, correct every mistake, and challenge every wrong opinion they hear. If they know the truth, they feel they must speak it. If they see flawed logic, they feel they must fix it. In their mind, staying silent feels like surrender. It feels like weakness. It feels like allowing ignorance to win. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Not every mind is open to truth. There is a huge difference between a discussion and a confrontation. A discussion is built on curiosity. It is built on mutual respect. Both sides are willing to listen, reflect, and possibly adjust their views. But a fool does not enter a conversation with curiosity. A fool enters with ego. A fool does not argue to understand. A fool argues to defend identity. When you present evidence, they do not examine it. They feel attacked. When you calmly explain your reasoning, they interpret your calmness as arrogance. When you use logic, they respond with emotion. And when you carefully address one point, they suddenly jump to another topic, avoiding the original issue entirely. You are trying to build clarity. They are trying to protect pride. And that difference changes everything. At first, you may believe that if you just explain better, they will understand. If you speak more clearly, they will listen. If you provide stronger proof, they will accept it. But this belief is an illusion. Because understanding requires willingness, and willingness cannot be forced. When someone is emotionally attached to being right, no amount of logic will move them. Their goal is not truth. Their goal is victory. And victory, for them, means not admitting they are wrong. Slowly, something begins to happen. You start raising your voice. You repeat yourself. You feel frustration building inside you. Without realizing it, you are stepping into their emotional world. You are no longer calm and analytical. You are reacting. The conversation stops being about ideas and starts becoming about ego. You feel the need to win. And the moment winning becomes your goal, you have already lost something important: your peace. This is the illusion of proving a point. You believe that if you just push a little harder, clarity will appear. But clarity cannot grow in soil filled with ego. It requires openness. It requires humility. It requires a willingness to say, maybe I am wrong. If that willingness does not exist on both sides, then you are not having a conversation. You are participating in chaos. And when you step into that chaos, you are no longer operating at your level. You are lowering yourself to survive in an environment that does not value reason. The more you engage, the more drained you feel. The more drained you feel, the less control you have over your emotions. That is the hidden cost. Proving a point may satisfy your pride for a moment, but protecting your peace preserves your power for a lifetime. Part 2. Peace is more valuable than being right. Winning an argument feels satisfying for a moment. There is a small rush of pride, a sense of validation. A voice inside you says, I proved my point. For a few minutes, maybe even a few hours, you feel justified. But peace feels powerful for a lifetime. The satisfaction of being right is temporary. It fades quickly. Peace, however, is steady. It protects your focus, your clarity, your emotional balance. And once you understand the difference between these two rewards, your priorities begin to change. When you argue with someone who refuses to learn, something physical happens inside your body. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your muscles tighten. Your tone shifts. Even if you try to stay calm, your nervous system reacts to conflict as if it is danger. Your brain moves into defense mode. Instead of listening carefully, you prepare your next counter-argument. Instead of thinking clearly, you think quickly. You are no longer responding with wisdom. You are reacting with emotion. And in that moment, something important happens. You lose control, not completely, not dramatically, but subtly. Your calm begins to slip. Your patience becomes thinner. Your words become sharper. You may interrupt. You may raise your voice. You may say something you later regret. This is the cost of engaging too deeply in unnecessary conflict. The fool is already comfortable in emotional chaos. They live in it. They thrive in it. They are used to raised voices, dramatic reactions, and heated exchanges. For them, conflict is normal. But you are not built for that environment. You value clarity. You value respect. You value thoughtful conversation. So when you remain inside chaos for too long, it drains you. It pulls you away from your natural state of calm intelligence. The more you engage, the more frustrated you become. The more frustrated you become, the more your peace disappears. And peace is not something small. Peace is your ability to think clearly. Peace is your ability to sleep calmly at night. Peace is your ability to focus on your goals without replaying arguments in your head. Have you ever noticed how an argument can stay in your mind long after it ends? You replay the conversation. You imagine better responses. You think about what you should have said. That mental replay steals your energy long after the actual argument is over. Now ask yourself honestly, is proving a point worth losing your calm? Is temporary pride worth hours of mental disturbance? Is being right worth sacrificing emotional stability? Most of the time, it is not. Being right does not improve your life if it costs you your balance. It does not move you forward if it leaves you drained. True strength is not about dominating conversations. It is about mastering yourself. Peace gives you power. Peace allows you to stay focused. Peace allows you to choose wisely instead of reacting impulsively. When you protect your calm, you protect your clarity. And clarity is far more valuable than victory in a meaningless debate. There is maturity in recognizing that not every incorrect statement requires correction. There is wisdom in understanding that some battles only waste your energy. Sometimes the greatest proof of intelligence is restraint. Because at the end of the day, you are not responsible for correcting every mind. You are responsible for protecting your own. And when you choose peace over pride, you are not losing. You are rising. Part 3. Fools feed on attention. There is something psychological happening beneath the surface of every useless argument. It is not really about facts. It is not really about truth. It is about attention. Some people love arguments because arguments make them feel significant. When they create conflict, they instantly become the center of focus. Eyes turn toward them. Voices respond to them. The emotional intensity of the room rises because of them. And in that moment, they feel powerful. For some individuals, attention equals importance. It does not matter whether the attention is positive or negative. Praise and criticism can feel the same to someone who is starving for validation. As long as people are reacting, they feel seen. As long as people are responding, they feel relevant. Conflict gives them that spotlight. Drama also gives emotional stimulation. Calm conversations may feel boring to them. Silence may feel uncomfortable. But an argument? An argument creates adrenaline. It creates movement. It creates emotional heat. Their heart beats faster. Their mind becomes active. They feel alive in the chaos. So when you argue back, you are not correcting them. You are feeding them. Your reaction becomes their reward. Think about it carefully. When someone says something provocative and you immediately respond with energy, frustration, or long explanations, what happens? They become even more energized. They push harder. They speak louder. They escalate. It is like adding fuel to a fire. The more you respond, the stronger the flames become. They do not feel defeated by your logic. They feel encouraged by your engagement. In their mind, the fact that you are investing so much energy proves that they matter. It confirms their importance. This is why some arguments never end. They are not built on resolution. They are built on reaction. But when you refuse to engage, something powerful changes. When you respond with calm indifference instead of emotional intensity, the dynamic shifts. When you offer a short, clear answer and then disengage, the fire struggles to survive. When you stay silent instead of reacting, the emotional reward disappears. Without your reaction, the conflict has no energy. Without your participation, the drama begins to fade. Arguments require two participants. If one person refuses to fight, the fight cannot continue. At first, the foolish person may try harder. They may repeat themselves. They may attempt to provoke you more aggressively. They may raise their voice or exaggerate further. This is often their final attempt to regain control of the emotional spotlight. But if you remain steady, something interesting happens. The excitement dies. The fire burns out because there is no fuel left, no reaction, no emotional response, no reward. Silence removes the fuel. And silence in this context is not weakness, it is strategy. It is understanding human psychology. It is recognizing that not every comment deserves oxygen. When you stop feeding foolish behavior with attention, you stop reinforcing it. You protect your energy. You protect your mental space. You protect your peace. In the end, the most powerful response to someone who thrives on attention is not confrontation. It is calm detachment. Because once you understand that some people argue for stimulation rather than truth, you realize that engaging with them only strengthens their habit. And the wisest move you can make is to step back, remain unshaken, and refuse to provide the reward they are seeking. Part 4. Silence is strength. Many people misunderstand silence. In a world where everyone is encouraged to speak up, clap back, and defend yourself, staying quiet can look like weakness. If you do not argue, some may assume you have nothing to say. If you do not react, they may believe you have lost. But real strength is not loud. Real strength is controlled. Silence is not surrender. Silence is discipline. It is the ability to feel emotion rising inside you and still choose not to release it carelessly. It is the power to hear something foolish, insulting, or provocative and decide calmly, this does not deserve my energy. That decision requires more strength than shouting ever will. Anyone can react. Reaction is automatic. It is fast. It is emotional. It requires no training. When someone insults you, your ego wants to defend itself instantly. When someone challenges you unfairly, your pride wants to strike back. That impulse is human, but response is different. Response is intentional. It is thoughtful. It is chosen. It comes after a pause. In that pause, you regain control. In that pause, you decide who you want to be in that moment. Silence lives inside that pause. When someone insults you and you remain calm, you show power. You demonstrate that their words do not control your emotional state. You show that your stability is stronger than their provocation. When someone tries to provoke you and you stay steady, you show maturity. You reveal that your mind is not easily shaken. You prove that your self-worth does not depend on defending yourself in every situation. There is something deeply powerful about a person who cannot be easily disturbed. Silence does not mean you agree. Silence does not mean you accept disrespect. Silence simply means you refuse to lower yourself into chaos. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every criticism deserves a defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Some statements collapse under their own foolishness if you do not hold them up with your attention. Consider this carefully. When you argue with someone who thrives on drama, you step into their environment. You begin playing by their rules. But when you stay silent, you remain in control of your own space. You refuse to enter emotional turbulence, and that refusal is strength. Silence also protects your clarity. When you react impulsively, your words are often shaped by emotion. Later, you may regret them. But when you choose silence, you give yourself time. Time to think. Time to evaluate. Time to decide whether the situation truly deserves engagement. Often, after a few minutes, you realize it does not. Silence is not about fear. It is about self-mastery. It is about recognizing that your peace is more valuable than proving a point. It is about understanding that dignity is maintained not by volume, but by composure. Strong people are not the ones who win every argument. Strong people are the ones who remain stable when others lose control. In moments of provocation, silence becomes your shield. It protects your energy. It protects your reputation. It protects your inner balance. And the more you practice it, the stronger you become. Because true power is not in overpowering others. It is in controlling yourself. And silence, when chosen wisely, is one of the clearest signs of that control. Part 5. The ego trap. Sometimes, if we are completely honest with ourselves, we discover something uncomfortable. We do not always argue because we care deeply about truth. We argue because we want to be right. When someone challenges our opinion, something inside us reacts immediately. It feels personal. It feels like our intelligence is being questioned. It feels like our status is being reduced. And in that moment, the desire to defend ourselves becomes strong. That desire is called ego. Ego is subtle. It does not always appear as arrogance. Sometimes it appears as urgency. A voice inside says, "I can't let that slide." Another voice says, "I need to correct this right now." It feels important. It feels necessary. But pause for a second and ask yourself a deeper question. Why does this bother me so much? If someone is wrong, does that make you smaller? If someone disagrees with you, does that erase your knowledge? If someone misunderstands you, does that damage your true value? The answer is no. Your value does not decrease because someone is wrong. Your intelligence does not disappear because someone disagrees. But ego makes it feel that way. Ego ties your identity to your opinions. So when your opinion is challenged, it feels like you are being attacked. And because it feels personal, You respond emotionally. This is the trap. You step into arguments not to exchange ideas, but to protect your image. You want to show others that you are informed, capable, and correct. You want the last word. You want the visible victory. But here's the truth about strong people. They do not feel the need to prove themselves constantly. They know their worth internally. Their confidence is not built on applause or agreement. It is built on self-awareness. They understand that their identity is bigger than any single debate. When your self-worth is solid, you do not panic over foolish opinions. You do not feel threatened by misunderstanding. You do not feel anxious when someone refuses to see your perspective. Instead, you stay calm. You observe. You choose wisely. You ask yourself, is this worth my energy? You ask yourself, am I speaking to help or am I speaking to win? This awareness changes everything, because once you recognize the ego trap, you are no longer controlled by it. You begin to separate your identity from your opinions. You realize that being wrong sometimes is human. You realize that not being understood sometimes is normal. And you stop fighting battles that only exist to protect pride. Freedom begins when your self-worth no longer depends on being right. When that happens, arguments lose their emotional grip on you. You no longer feel pulled into every disagreement. You no longer feel responsible for correcting every voice in the room. You become steady. And that steadiness is strength. Part 6. Choose your battles carefully. Life is short. Your time is limited. Your emotional energy is not endless. Every conversation you enter, every argument you respond to, every conflict you entertain, it costs you something. It costs focus. It costs peace. It costs strength. If you fight every small battle, you will slowly exhaust yourself. You will spend your days proving small points while losing sight of your bigger purpose. And the truth is, not every disagreement deserves your attention. Before entering an argument, pause and ask yourself, will this matter in 1 year? Is this person open to learning or just trying in to win? Will this conversation create growth or only noise? Am I speaking to solve something or just to defend my pride? These questions protect your energy. Mature people understand something powerful. Attention is a resource. Where you place it determines the direction of your life. If you constantly give your attention to negativity, drama, and unnecessary debates, your mind will remain busy, but unproductive. Some people argue for entertainment. Some argue to feel superior. Some argue because they are bored. You do not have to participate. Walking away is not weakness. Walking away is strategy. It takes emotional intelligence to recognize when a discussion has no future. It takes confidence to say, this is not worth my peace. It takes strength to let someone think they won when you know the real victory is protecting your focus. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. Sometimes silence saves relationships. Sometimes distance saves respect. Sometimes ignoring saves your energy. Choose your battles like a general chooses war. Carefully, strategically, and only when necessary. Save your strength for your goals. Save your focus for your growth. Save your voice for moments that truly matter. Because when a real battle appears, a challenge that affects your future, your family, your values, or your dreams, you will need clarity, patience, and power. And you will have it, not because you fought everything, but because you chose wisely. Part 7, the long-term strategy. Think long-term, not just about today, not just about this argument, Not just about this moment of emotion. Think about the person you are becoming through your repeated reactions. Do you want to be known as someone who is always arguing, always defending, always explaining, always reacting to every comment? Or do you want to be known as calm, steady, emotionally intelligent someone whose presence brings stability, not tension? Reputation is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built through repeated behavior. The small daily choices, the consistent emotional patterns, the way you handle pressure when no one expects you to stay calm. If you constantly engage in useless debates, people will eventually label you as reactive, even if you are intelligent, even if you are right. Constant reaction weakens your image, but if you consistently stay calm, focused, and selective with your words, something powerful happens. People begin to see you differently. They trust your silence. They respect your opinions more because you do not speak carelessly. Loud arguments attract attention. Calm discipline earns respect. Attention is temporary. Respect is lasting. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can type an angry message. Anyone can defend their ego. That requires no training. But controlling your tone when disrespected, remaining steady when misunderstood, choosing composure over chaos, that is rare. And rare qualities create long-term power. Think about leaders, mentors, and strong personalities you admire. They are not constantly fighting small battles. They conserve their energy. They speak with intention. When they talk, it matters because they do not talk unnecessarily. Your long-term strategy should be simple. Protect your peace, control your reactions, be slow to anger, be selective with engagement. Over time, this discipline builds an invisible strength. People learn that you are not easily shaken. They understand that you do not waste time. They recognize that your calm is not weakness, it is control. In the short term, arguing might make you feel powerful. In the long term, emotional discipline makes you powerful. Decide who you want to be 5 years from now. Then start acting like that person today, because your future reputation is being built by how you respond right now. Part 8. When you must speak, silence is powerful, but silence is not always the answer. There are moments in life when staying quiet is not strength. It is avoidance. If injustice is happening, if lies are causing real harm, if someone is being unfairly attacked, or if your values are being violated, then speaking becomes necessary. But how you speak matters more than how loudly you speak. When truth must be protected, do not shout. Do not insult. Do not lose control. Speak calmly. Speak clearly. Speak once. Emotional shouting weakens your message. Calm clarity strengthens it. When you control your tone, people focus on your words instead of your anger. State your position with dignity. Say what needs to be said, directly, respectfully, and without unnecessary drama. Avoid long emotional explanations. Avoid repeating yourself again and again to force agreement. Truth does not need aggression to stand strong. Strong communication is firm but controlled. There is a difference between defending truth and defending ego. When you speak from ego, you want to win. When you speak from principle, you want to clarify. Say what is right. Correct what is wrong. Protect what matters. Then step back. Your responsibility is to express truth wisely. You are not responsible for forcing someone to understand it. You cannot control another person's maturity, mindset, or willingness to listen. Some people argue to learn. Some people argue to resist. Some people argue to avoid admitting they are wrong. You cannot fix all of them. Once you have spoken clearly and respectfully, your job is done. If they choose not to understand, that is their responsibility, not yours. Remember this: strength is not measured by how long you argue. Strength is measured by how well you control yourself while standing firm. There is power in silence. There is power in speech. Wisdom is knowing when to use each. Speak when it protects truth. Stay silent when it protects peace. And in both situations, remain steady. Because the goal is not to win arguments. The goal is to live with integrity. Final message: protect your peace. Let me leave you with something powerful. Intelligence is not measured by how many arguments you win. It is measured by how many unnecessary arguments you avoid. True strength is not proving your point to someone who refuses to understand. True strength is knowing when to walk away, when to remain silent, and when to focus your energy on what truly matters. Fools thrive on chaos. They feed on reactions, drama, and emotional energy. Every argument, every response you give them becomes fuel for their game. But wise people thrive on growth. They focus on progress, learning, and building their future. They understand that energy is finite, time is limited, and peace is priceless. Do not trade your peace for temporary victory. Do not sacrifice your calm to win a small battle or defend your ego. Every moment spent reacting to foolishness is a moment stolen from your goals, your growth, and your potential. Stay above. Stay steady. Stay focused on what truly matters. Protect your energy, your calm, and your clarity. Because when you protect your level, something remarkable happens. You stop reacting to noise. You stop being disturbed by nonsense. You stop being pulled into unnecessary drama. You grow beyond it. Your mind becomes sharper. Your emotions become steadier. Your life becomes more productive. You begin to see the difference between what deserves your attention and what does not. You start investing in yourself instead of wasting your strength on arguments that yield nothing. And here is the greatest power you can show in this world: to remain calm in chaos, to remain silent in provocation, to remain focused while others fight for ego or attention, to rise above the noise instead of being consumed by it. Peace is power. Protecting it is wisdom. When you hold your calm as a priority, you create a foundation that no argument, no insult, and no foolish behavior can shake. This is not weakness. This is mastery. This is self-respect. This is true intelligence. Let your life be proof that growth, clarity, and calmness are stronger than noise, conflict, and ego. The world may try to drag you into arguments, but the wise person knows the real battle is within, and protecting your peace is the ultimate victory.